All right guys, we are in the shop today. We're going to be going over a little bit of the how-to on the installation of the LiveScope. When I was going to put this stuff in, it was absolutely miserable trying to find something on YouTube to go through and figure out how to do this. So I ended up getting the Ultra 2 and I went with the 12-inch. I have the LVS 34 with the black box. I did it in this 19-foot tracker over here. So with that being said, I didn't really want to run it all the way to the backside, so I did it on my bait box up front. I'll show you kind of how I did that, how I worked around that, having to avoid adding extra cables and extra link to it. I was able to get away with using all the factory stuff, running it straight through my rod locker, hooking it up from there. I did put another NOCO charger up front though. I swear by these guys. I have the same three bank on my boat. Fantastic company. And I've never had issues with their products. So now I'm gonna go get the boat gutted out, start taking the rods out, all my tackle and gear. We'll show you how we got this thing installed. All right, so we're at the front of the deck right now. Like I said, I have already installed this on the boat just because I didn't want to make a video without actually knowing that it worked. So I've ran this for a couple weeks now. Excuse the zombie setup. I'm still going to be running my Lowrance just because I have a million years of marks and locations in it. But this Garmin, really as simple as I use the factory mounts that it came with. And then what's beautiful about these guys is these face units actually come off super simple. So you can set that down right there. And then if you look right over here, this button here is what engages it to release it. And what's awesome is when you set this back down on there, you'll literally use the leverage that this gives you and then click it right into place. And this is absolutely fantastic the way that Garmin designed this, because I get super nervous when I'm out traveling and everything like that. And the ability to take that face screen off just makes me sleep better at night. So when it comes to this mount, I use the factory hardware that it came with, and I just did it on this slanted portion where my trim selector is and all that good stuff. Where it was really nice is that I already had a pre-existing hole that I drilled into and used, but coming off the back side of this box right here, we're going to be looking at the network cords and then the one coming in from the black box and your power. And so I added an extra network cord just so that way when I go to do another unit at the face at the helm, I already have it pre-ran. So it's ran out there to where I can just plug it right in, get power to it from the front side. That's really awesome that they sent me that extra cable. They didn't need to. Kudos to you guys, Garmin. But now what I really need to do is we'll go in, we'll take a peek at how I ran it from underneath here. It's super simple. I just removed my foot pedal, picked up my foot pedal out of the way, removed this front beveled portion, and then with that existing hole right there, I was able to feed them back in, run it inside of my rod locker itself, and then I just got some wire loom and I just wrapped the cables on the internals and ran it back to it. I did have to take a stet bit and make like a 3/4 inch hole to get the transducer connector itself into the bait box. All the other connections plugging into the black box were thin enough that I could just sneak it around the side. The transducer fitting itself that you're running all the way to the back where the black box is, that fitting is massive. So just take that into consideration when you're running things back and creating holes and openings. Either A, you need to run that transducer cable through first, or B, you need to make its own separate hole, and that's what I ended up doing. So let's take a break and we'll go peek back there. All right, we're in the rod locker, gentlemen. We've got the lightsaber and we're about to get in there. We have wired it, like I said, from that front bevel past. I've removed that foot pedal so that I could see the whole interior. And then from there, we just ran it down that funnel on my rod locker, and then you'll be able to see where I kicked it just to the right to enter into this bait box, and then I'll show you the switches and batteries and the black box, all that good stuff. Don't judge me though, I have not screwed my switch in yet, so it's free floating right now. It's letting Jesus take the wheel. But let's get in here and take a peek. I'll show you kind of what I did. So right here, as you can see, this is that larger hole that I was talking about for that transducer cable. And so I ran this transducer cable last. I had read and heard a bunch of different things about everyone was super concerned with crushing this cable. Likewise on the trolling motor, you're only allowed to use electrical tape, everything like that. I was just being very precautious and doing this at the very last minute. Now all the other wires I included inside this loom. I didn't want to add any extra pressure to the transducer cord for no apparent reason, but this is what I was talking about. Those other wires, I was able to sneak it right past this little bitty gap in here, but that transducer itself, I had to take that sted bit, drill a pilot hole, and then waller it out all the way to about 3/4 to maybe a full inch size hole. But on the other side of that is where all the magic happens. Let's go take a peek. All right guys, so now we're in the bait box that I was talking about. This is my switch right here that I've just got free floating. I need to screw it in there. But with that being said, y'all, for those who already know this, you can keep going. But for those who don't, okay, these switches, all you're doing is interrupting the power. You're not going to be grounding this switch or anything like that, guys. This is strictly just breaking up that positive line of electrical flow. So that way, when I get off the water, I remain this guy right here on off. So I know for a fact there's no juice getting pulled to my electronics unit. And I can just guarantee I'm saving the hours on this lead time. The NOCOs come with these pre-rigged quick connect charging ports, which are absolutely fantastic. If you give me 30 seconds, I'll take this little belt off and we'll wiggle on back there so that we can see our black box. But I've got all this stuff in there nice and tight. Come on. Also guys, battery trays are a necessity. You're going to be running these boats on plane, hitting choppy water. You don't want to be taking the chance with really expensive electrical equipment like lithium batteries or your black box for those guys to just be getting beat around in the boat. Now my switch isn't doing anything, so I'm not really worried about that guy. And so now you guys can see in here how I had orientated the black box. And so this black box orientation in here, it is coming directly from the other side. That's coming from our rod locker, and I just connected them all up to that Garmin box. And so I put it on the inside of the back wall just so it's out of my way and these wires are protected. This is the, it's not a Faraday cage because that's where it kills all your signal, but this is an extra component that they put on there that y'all let me know in the comments if it's supposed to go on your transducer cable. I know that. I couldn't read through the directions and see if it was supposed to be closer to the black box or closer to the transducer. From what I understood, I was guessing this is where it goes. I haven't had any exuberant amounts of interference on my unit that I've noticed, but I just plugged that in there. I got my switch ran there, and really that is as simple as you can go. So with this being said, I highly recommend two things. First thing is, if you are going to extend your wires, you need to have the proper gauge wiring. That for me, again, I wasn't concerned. I'm just going to put it in this rod locker, call it good. If you're running it back there, juice is the #1 thing that these guys lack on. So you can say over the installation process, if you're not getting the proper electricity flow, you're not going to get the proper image. So me, I completely bypassed all that. Luckily, I just did it factory to factory. The other thing is, all of your grounds have to be connected to the same ground, okay? So we can't be trying to grab a ground off of something else unless it's all going back to that battery. So when you do this, make sure that your grounds are all getting connected the same, and that your wiring, if you are extending your harness, you have the proper size gauge. Off the top of my head, I forgot what it was. I think it's like 10 gauge or 8 gauge is really recommended. But again, I didn't need it. So I really didn't go to any lengths to go figure it out. Now maybe with the next rig that I get, that'll be something that I look into. But I know that there's a bunch of companies now that have came out with pre-rigged harnesses that I'll probably just look into getting, that it's already got loom on it, it's already got all the connections. So I'll do my best to see if I can find any other pre-rigging companies. There's one that Scott Martin used that he raves about all the time. I'll see if I can find that one and leave it in the comments of a good product to use. But for me, I just use all the factory stuff because I didn't need it. If there's any questions or anything like that, y'all let me know in the comments. But it's not that hard to do, guys, but it is very intimidating when you pull it out of the package and you see everything that's there. So for me, the biggest misconception that I had was what plugs were going to what, what's going on. And so the network wire was the one that really threw me for the loop at the beginning. I didn't know where it went. But what I advise you to do is, after seeing what I did and how I installed it, put it out on the deck of your boat and fake put it together real quick. Like, run the wires to where you can see them, and that way you understand it, and then you can go in your boat and just hide it. It's not any more complicated than that, I promise. So with that being said, y'all keep ripping lips, and then if there's any more little cool fab stuff that I come up with, or not fab stuff, but cool custom add-ons that you can do to your boat, I'll keep you in touch. Stay classy, San Diego.